Somehow I went through 16 audiobooks in July, and as I was counting that, I was like, what the hell, that's crazy. Let's talk about all of them, starting with The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. This was a really hard read. It left me feeling very disgusted with humanity. It's really hard to put into one sentence what this is really about. It's very complex. Crazy that this is actually her first novel. It deals with the cycles of trauma, how hurt people. This was incredibly written and very, very heartbreaking and also disturbing, and something that I believe among white people should be more widely read. Among everyone, but if there's someone who should really be learning a lesson from this, it's the perpetrators. Next, I read Yesteryear by Carol Claire Burke. I made a full video on this because there is so much to say. I loved it. So exciting to read from the point of view of someone who is so awful, and also being in her head as she gaslights herself into this lifestyle that she believes she is supposed to be living, despite the fact that she is miserable, and so is everyone else. Next, The House on Mango Street. This was a very good coming-of-age story that acknowledges some really unfortunate truths that women have to encounter while growing up, but somehow this didn't leave me hopeless. Next, The Woman in the Waves. I do not recommend as an audiobook because the narration of it just lacked the range of emotion that was required. Everything was too high stakes in terms of narration, and it was very unpleasant to listen to. But I would absolutely recommend reading. This is a sapphic love story, and something I thought was so interesting was the two FMCs had incredibly different upbringings because it's sort of a fantasy, paranormal, romance. But despite the fact that they come from two literal different worlds, because of the effects of patriarchy, their trauma lines up. Next, Yes Chef by Grace Riley, top kitchen romance of the year. Great smut. I do recommend. Dual narration was peak. Next, my first Carissa Broadbent book, the first in the Crowns of Nyaxia series, The Serpent and the Wings of Night. Vampires, politics, daddy issues, loved it. Didn't love the games and trials. I usually don't love games and trials. Next in the series, a novella, Six Scorched Roses. It's very short, but she does so much, and I loved seeing how she portrayed people responding to something that they didn't understand, because unfortunately, we see a lot of that happening all the time. Third in this series, The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. Much heavier on the politics. I loved that. Next is my second favorite in the series so far, The Slaying of the Vampire Conqueror. How I can sum this up is woman willingly joins cult that literally takes her eyes, and as she is deconstructing everything that she has learned from said cult, she realizes that everything she's been told is bad actually isn't bad, and all this happens while she's falling in love with a vampire. I do recommend. The next one in the series I read and didn't listen to. I talked about it yesterday. Next, It's Different This Time by Joss Richard. Friends to lovers, kind of second chance romance, and a miscommunication trope that I will accept. Next, graphic audio, Court of Frost and Starlight. Look, this is my third time doing this one, and I went into it so excited for a little Christmas special hug after a war, and this is the first time it really hit me. This is actually about PTSD. Was I aware of that before? Yes, but it just showed up so much more this time as my third time reading it. I don't think we talk about that enough. Next, I read The Second Death of Locke. I heard incredible things about this, and I pushed through because I'd heard such incredible things, but I really think it's just me. I think I just didn't vibe with it, because I can acknowledge great story, great writing, great characterization, but I just didn't jive. I don't even know what I think about this when I had so many thoughts. Good material. It's a breakup from the point of view of a man. Don't let that turn you off to it. Because there was an acknowledgement early on in the book that how he is dealing with this breakup is how a woman typically would, and how his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend is dealing with it is how a man typically would. And watching the journey that he goes on is actually so interesting, and how he tries to find friendship, how he tries to move on, how he tries to grow and better himself. It can be sad, it can be cringe, it can be stereotypically male, but I ended up finding it actually very charming. And my final audiobook of July was Our Perfect Storm. This was cute. It was fun. I won't say it was amazing. What I did really enjoy, the female main character, Frankie, really likes Little Women, and she has the idea that Joe and Lori should have ended up together. And that's kind of the inspiration for this book. It is a Friends to Lovers. And that was the 16 audiobooks I went through this month. I don't know what next month's gonna look like. Had to pop back in to add The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk. This was my favorite in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. I love Misha. I love her so much. She is a ray of sunshine in a Hades-like realm. Thank you, goodbye.